Welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network, presented by Primary Arms. Travis needs to really learn how to mute his camera because now all we see is a wall and a seat. So, see, at least Sharenda and Jim got it right. So, Nick, how are you?
I'm good.
What's new and exciting?
Didn't really do much. I had a reenactment over the weekend.
Sweet.
Also went to Grass and Sons because it was in the same town.
Ooh.
Picked up 3 pounds of 1F black powder.
Nice.
And Dad picked up a new 12 gauge slug mold.
Nice.
Black powder is going to be hard to come by.
It is. That's why I figured buy once, cry once. I got 3 pounds. That should last me quite a while.
Well, the thing that the memo doesn't say anything about is whether that's going to affect any of their aftermarket powders like 777 or Pirate X or anything like that. It specifically mentions GOEX. But what we're talking about is Hornady sent out a letter stating that at the end of the year, they're closing down their GOEX plant that is in Louisiana. They're hoping somebody will buy it and reopen it. Given the fact that that plant is kind of old, I'm going to go with probably not, because OSHA's probably going to use that opportunity to come in and say, oh, hey, new ownership, you got to get it up to today's standards. But the thing, it doesn't mention whether it's going to be, what all is made there.
I know no one says that's not mentioned there, but they do make black powder there, and they are looking for somebody to buy the company.
Yep.
So, if no one wants to buy it, it's closed.
Yep.
And I don't know any other manufacturers of black powder.
I know. I picked up Swiss is what I was getting at Graphs.
Yeah.
Did they give a reason for the closure?
No. Not really.
I'm looking here.
Business decisions. That's usually a cover-all.
With the number of substitutes that are out there and the hazards of moving black powder around, and the manufacture of it, it's pretty clear. I mean, it's a business decision, yeah.
So it says, effective immediately, made the decision to cease manufacturing operations at the company's Camp Minden, Louisiana site while evaluating strategic options for the black powder business. The business will wind down operations while an evaluation process on the future of the black powder business takes place. Strategic options for the GOEX and Old Eynsford brands of black powder, along with manufacturing capabilities, will include a potential sale of the business. All effective employees will be retained through December 31st, 2021. So,
yeah. So, nice Christmas present.
Yeah. I got this from Accurate Shooter, and then there was a report in the NRA Rifleman that they posted also. So,
John's Handling's got something in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, he says, my understanding is the family's been letting a group of business people run the business, and now it seems they want better margins. Also, they had a fire in June or July. So,
don't we all want better margins?
Let's see here. It says history going back to 1802 from E.I. DuPont, Dina Morse. So, holy crap. So it says, despite Hodgdon's efforts, the GOEX facility at Camp Minden has a history of manufacturing incidents stretching back to 98. Keep in mind, the plant's been only open since 97.
That's pretty recent for.
Oh, no, sorry. It moved in the 70s. No, it says, yeah. 70s, Bellin plant was incorporated into the GOEX family, and the production moved to Minden, Louisiana in 97. Yeah, so that plant's only been open since 97. It says incidents stretching back to 98, so basically the plant's a year old, including a 2011 incident where 1,000 pounds of black powder exploded. What?
Whoops.
Never heard anything about that. That'd be worse than some of those oil refinery explosions. Latest incident occurred at the GOEX June 18th, 2021. An explosion required the evacuation of 15 employees inside the facility. Nobody was injured, but the plant observed a 24 to 48 hour waiting period to ensure that nothing else at the facility ignited. Wow. Let's see here. So Hodgdon didn't buy it until January 6, 2009.
Now they're looking to dump it.
Yep. So. I mean, honestly, it doesn't really make much of a difference because you can't shoot the damn things anyway. Unless you're like me, where you're sitting on a couple thousand 209 primers you can't use in anything else, and a few hundred number 11 percussion caps, you're kind of shit out of luck because we at Cabela's at my store have not had percussion caps on the shelf since before hunting season last year.
Wow.
10s or 11s. Since January, we've seen 15,000 209 primers. That's it.
15,000 209 primers is a season for a trap shooter.
Yeah.
See, I got 15,000 sitting over there.
Yeah.
Bragger.
What are you talking about anyway? You ain't going to load shot shells.
I loaded some this weekend. Thank you very
Holy
much.
crap, and you didn't video it.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. They were test rounds, so.
So, people can learn from your screw-ups as well as your successes.
That's true.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I do post my screw-ups as well, too. I just forgot to video it. It was a long weekend. Okay?
Likely story. Likely story. So, at any rate, so tonight the big thing is an Intellidropper unboxing, and we're going to start that now, and then we're going to go through what everybody else has been doing. Well, because whenever you have a fancy electronic powder dropper, you're supposed to let it warm up before you actually start using it. So, but we're gonna go through and unbox this puppy. And move my keyboard over. So literally all I did was pop the tape and just open it up to make sure that stuff was in here. instructions. I don't know. I guess we need those. So, bubble wrap. By the way, make sure it's empty before you do that, just for future reference. So, basically, what I'm doing is I'm gonna take everything out of the box, set it up here, and then once I get everything out of the box, then we'll go from there. So, day to box to dumpty. Don't need that no more. Goodbye. Hey, look, it's a power cord. Hey, it kind of looks like the one that's supposed to be for the... Does it fit? Oh, where'd that alignment go? Kidding. I still haven't found my alignment. Number 6 power cord. So, I'll find it someday. So, when you have something this fancy, you probably should read the instructions. It's always a good idea. This adapter here is for, I'm not sure. It could be for
European.
240. Yeah, it could be for 240. It could be for European. So.
European is 240.
No, it's 220.
Close enough.
What's 20 volts between friends?
Zzz.
All right. So the first thing I'm doing is plugging this bad boy in. And now you can't see. Really? There we go.
Yeah, you gotta level that sucker up.
Yeah, I don't think I'm about to do that. Now, the nice thing is, the bad thing is that comes off, but the nice thing is, whee, screw jacks.
Yep.
So point out, Mike, the reason you want to level it, if you flip it back down, show everybody it's got a little bubble level right there. Nope,
Yep.
right there's a little bubble level. Yeah, we're probably not. It's got a good glare. There you go.
It's not level right now. Whee. Whee. So what you want to do is figure out what needs to move where to balance it. In this case, you can figure out by moving it around and stuff what is cattywampus on it. Usually, a lot of times, it's just going to be a minute adjustment, not major. So, like this, I really messed with it, so. I probably only needed a minute adjustment.
Now, just like it's important to let that thing warm up, it's important to have your level, your scale level.
Very.
You don't want to have it one way or the other because you won't get your accurate. It won't be accurate. It won't read accurate, I should say.
By the way, Michael Dunn, you smart ass, my desk is level. So Lead Bullet Junkie says, excuse me, I have one of those. I love the thing. Need some breaking in out of the box.
Yeah, when you get done with that, Mike, I wanted you, because I have one also. I thought I did a video on mine, but I looked, I didn't see I uploaded it. The one big complaint I had with mine, and I want you to see if yours is the same way. I've heard this from multiple people, is those two buttons in the front, the power and the throw. Yeah, those two. Mine were super stiff. Yours looks really nice. Mine's really hard to push.
There's a reason why the FX 120 has only 3 legs.
Because 4 legs sucks to level.
Right.
All right. Somebody walking up and downstairs. Whee. All right.
Close enough for government work.
Pretty much. So I'm pretty sure the scale doesn't operate well enough to make a difference. So what Lead Bullet Junkie said with his is he drifted a lot, so I left a 50-gram charge on it overnight, and the scale settled into itself and hasn't drifted since. So that's a good tip. Normally, you want to keep the box close so you can actually put the stuff in the box. But I was being a smart aleck and just threw it off to the side. So this can go back. Notice how it's got notches here. Those are so you can brush the powder off without having to take it out. So, because inevitably we'll get powder.
And it does come with a little brush.
Yep. It's got a nice dust cover for it, so you can keep dust off your pan. See? There's the little brush. So it's pretty much standard fare plastic. So. Nice thing is it actually tells you if it's stable or not. Which it's not. So
It takes a couple seconds for that to be stable.
now who's the smart aleck that says that's why your truck floors look like that? Is that my wife? Probably. Does it have a drain spout? Yes, Jorgen.
And that's another crappy part of it. That's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But I think most of them are.
Yeah.
So what are you doing right now, Mike?
Letting it sit for a second.
So if you're
Oh,
gonna
that's
let
kind of
it,
cool. Not only does it give you check weights, but they're actually certified. They get a little certificate of. I can't read it anyway. Excuse me. Now, where'd that comment go? Just see what Idaho said. Somebody asked about primers, and so Idaho said, "I went to a Cabela's near Madison, Wisconsin. They said some guy that runs a podcast has been hoarding all the primers." Ray Rowden said it wouldn't hurt to run a dryer sheet in the cylinder to remove static. Okay, so do you use an unused dryer sheet or a used dryer sheet?
Used.
I use unused.
So both check weights are 50 grams. I don't know why you'd need 2 check weights, but I suppose leave one for later.
well, it's gonna
No.
ask you for both of them, Mike.
Yep.
Oh, all right then.
It's not sophisticated enough to only require one.
Yeah, you'll get that. All right, so excuse me. John's hand loading says used leaves little residue. Ask me how I know. So Paul Loud, actually, you should coat it with butter, not Pam. So Paul Loud said that I should spray down the hopper with Pam so the powder flows more smoothly. And I was telling him, no, you actually use butter. It works better. Plus, then you're not getting all those contaminants from this aerosol in the powder, because you don't want that.
So, Mike, do you want to just kind of talk about some of the features of this before you get going on it, or
Yeah.
so?
So you've actually got yours set up and running.
Yeah, I've had mine for probably at least a year.
Something like that.
So what I think is really nice about the Frankfurt Arsenal Intellidropper, is it's simple to use. Mike probably is getting it set up right now, but you can Bluetooth it to your phone, and you can control every aspect of it off of your phone. So you don't actually have to push any buttons on the Frankfurt Arsenal. You can control it right from your phone. You can enter data like load. You can do load. Let's just say you do. Let's go with a 3030. You can enter that onto your phone. Say 3030. This is the projectile I'm using. This is the charge I want to use, and you make a description of it, and you save that. So when you want to, you can pull up that list of all your calibers and your recipes, and you can actually just go and click the one you want, and it will transfer that info over to your Intellidropper, and it'll start throwing that charge that you picked. So it's really handy to be able to have multiple loads and whatever in the app and be able to send that over to your Intellidropper straight from your phone. For me, one of the biggest negatives I've found is that drain spout. It's a pain in the butt. Someone just commented, and I have to do the same thing. You have to basically, how Mike has it right now, he's got it level. So once he picks it up and let's just say he rotates it, it's not going to be level anymore because it's level to how he has it sitting on that table. So you might have to readjust those legs quite often if you have to go through different powders all the time. But that drain dispenser, you have to rotate it, hold it at the edge of the table, turn that little black valve to drain all the powder out. and then you still always have powder left in there. Yeah, that one right there. It's not very big, but once you drain that, and you want to make sure once you're done draining your powder, you turn it back and shut it, because we've all done this multiple times where you add more powder, you forgot to shut that, and you get powder all over your table. But getting all the powder out of this thing is one of the negatives. So I actually have to pick it up, gently kind of shake it around. I mean, real gently. I'm not going to shake the crap out of that thing. You can see right there, Mike showing that drain hole. Well, that aluminum tube right there, that's how it actually picks up the powder and dispenses it out the front. But
So it's
you do have
basically
to,
like a giant version of powered version of that.
yeah. But it's not the funnest to get the powder out of. The Lyman Gen 6 is probably the best one I've found to like clean out all the powder out of it. But I had that one, I got rid of it, and I went ahead and I got this Frankfurt Arsenal, and I've been happy enough with it that I can look past that. The Frankfurt Arsenal also has, I forget what they call it, but it's like a learning program in it. And so you should be able to, I don't have my phone, it's over there, but you should be able to go through a program with whatever powder you put in there. It'll throw some certain charges, and it'll learn the powder you have in there. So it's more accurate, and it can throw your powder quicker and more effectively. Say mine, those two front buttons were, and still are, really stiff on mine. I really have to push them hard. The power and the dispense button on the front.
So here's a question, Travis, because the manual kind of frickin' sucks.
Mm-hmm.
How do you turn the Bluetooth on?
You don't do anything with, and this is the other bad thing. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But there's nothing, if I remember right, there's nothing on the Intellidropper itself, Mike. You just have, it's just all off your phone. It'll pick it up. Make sure your Bluetooth is on your phone.
Yep.
And it should, like I said, I've had it work and turn around and it'll just disconnect. So that is it's a benefit and a flaw all in one.
Is it dual SPP?
What, the name of it?
Yeah.
It's probably the guy sitting in the van in front of your house.
Sweet.
When it works really well. But yeah, a lot of times it doesn't.
Yeah.
But let's say you get it to work and then you pick
There we go.
pick off your list. If it disconnects, it's still, you've already sent that info over to it, so you don't have to have it continuously linked. So Michael Hurtneck's asking if you can use your phone to do everything with it, and yes, you can. As you can see, Mike's, so hold that back up real quick, Mike. So whatever, if Mike could show on the scale, like maybe put a little bit of pressure on there, you can see on your pan, it'll mimic exactly in real time. So you can see it's real time right there. So Mike can zero it out. He can type in a charge that he wants to throw and then just hit the button on his phone. It'll start throwing it. And then you can save that info and make a list. Like I was just saying, make a list and call that whatever data you want to call that. You could Mike's favorite load, whatever you want, and then when you go to do multiples, you can make multiple lists, and then just pull up whatever your Mike's favorite load again a month from now, and just push that, and it'll on your phone, push that button, and it'll send it to that Intellidropper, and he's off throwing the same charge as he was tonight.
So as you can see, this is part of the programming. It says new load, database, favorites, cost center. So you can calculate what it costs to load that round.
Yes.
Which
So
is,
real quick, Michael is asking if no, you cannot, Mike, but he's asking, can you turn the Intellidropper on and off with your phone? That one, no, you can't.
so you
You
can't
do
do
manually you have to manually turn it on and off.
So
But Mike, it might be worth throwing some powder in that once you get it all calibrated, throw some powder in it and then show us the feature where it learns the powder you've put in there.
Yep, that's what I plan on doing. So I hit new load, and then I want to kind of show this off here. Let's see here. There it is. Okay. I'm going to turn my camera off for a second here, gang, because I am going to put it on a tripod. All right. So basically what I'm doing is letting it warm up, as you should with any of these fancy things. You know, and like the one guy said, where he just let it sit and literally sit with the charge overnight to get the scale to settle. You know, maybe that's something you have to do. I'm trying to set this up so you guys can see.
Now, most of these electronic powder dispensers, they're accurate enough to 0.1 grains. So, I mean, that's pretty good for what we're doing, but they're not like, you know, Paul's favorite high end. I can't remember what's that one you have, Paul, the AF, what is it called? Help me out. Paul fall asleep on us.
All right, so here is, wow, that's bad. Okay, sorry, I've got a light up there that is reflecting off the ceiling and showing. So,
AFX 12, I think, Mike. Thank you.
So here is this, and that's a goofy tripod. Anyway, so you've got your caliber.
So, Mike, what's cool about that? When you click that plus, it's going to pull up a list of, you know, has a predetermined list in there. But if you scroll, you are also able to enter your own, you know, call it whatever you want. I can't remember if it's at the very bottom or if you just somewhere in there, you should be able to just.
Hey, it's even got 22 long rifle.
Make your own. I'm going to go grab my phone.
Here's my 30-30 Winchester. And then bullet.
What if you want to put your own 180 grain cast bullet in?
That's Hornady. So you can put your manufacturer, that'd be Jim Fleming. Diameter, type. So Hornady, diameters 0.308, type, FTX. Weight. $160, length, and then you can do your sectional density, ballistic coefficient. Which I can get off Hornady's website.
You should probably get some of that information off the box too, shouldn't you?
Yeah, but it has the diameter, doesn't have the length, doesn't have the sectional density. So
yeah, you'd have to get the length from your calipers. Isn't that what ST is? I'm sorry, sectional density is the ratio of the weight to the length.
no idea.
I'll Google it.
That's the whole ammunition I don't want.
So, like I was just saying, it looks like you can pick caliber or cartridge. You can't. I guess you can't just make up and add your own. Like I was saying, you do have to pick from the list, but bullet and everything else, you can click on manufacturer or diameter or whatever and enter all of that yourself. You don't have to. Like I could put Jim Fleming's cast projectiles under manufacturer of bullet.
Yep.
I thought you could do that with the cartridge, but it looks like you can't.
Sectional density is a ratio of mass to cross-sectional area. So I got you trying to get us off onto a tangent. Go ahead, Mike. Please continue.
So on the website, it doesn't list length. It does list the sectional density. It does list the ballistic coefficient in the G1 scale, but it does not list the length. So I'll still have to get my stupid calipers out and measure it.
John's hand loading. You can get an FX 120 from Cambridge in Canada for less money than the $700 to $800.
But will they ship it back across the border?
Yes, they will. And they're also the distributor for the autotricular and the version 4 that's coming out. Version 3 will be discontinued.
So I got 1.131 inches is the length. Okay. Back in the box with you. And obviously that's just one that I grabbed, just like everybody knows. You can have a whole bunch of different options. So hit OK there. Now I can do powder. IMR, type, 3031. Hit OK. So cartridge overall length. You can put your own COL or COL in there. I don't remember what the cartridge overall length is, so I've got to get my manual out. Whoops. That's not nice. Cricky, I am 2 low manuals behind now on Hornady. I just realized that I've got the 9th. And you get a Schneid. Get the 11th.
The new auto trickler is consolidated into one unit, where it actually trickles on its own down to 200th of a grain. Just so John's hand loading needs to know.
And then you can actually put in your firearm if you want. And your primer. And it lets you choose which type of primer you got. Oops, too far.
Total for the FX 120 and the version 4, which hasn't really been set yet, you can figure about $900.
Ouch. Oh, that's the full thing though, right?
That's the whole thing. Yes, that's the scale and the trickler and dispenser.
And then you can even put the case, the type of case you're using. You can manually enter that, and you hit OK. Now I'm not going to enter a grain load because I need to do testing first before I actually come across a grain. So, but then you can just save it. So. Save it, and then it shows up like this, and then you can favorite if you want, that type of thing. So the nice thing is, otherwise you just get to home, and I can literally, so I zero it out, say, I can literally say I want like a 34.2 grain charge. I can do 34.2. Sorry, I got to hit load. Why isn't it let me do it?
You might not. Oh, I was gonna say you might not be connected, but you are. See, I just threw a charge with mine already, but you just.
Maybe because it wasn't zero. Oh, because I probably haven't calibrated it yet, so that might be why.
Well, you got to calibrate it anyway, so you might as well show us that step.
Yep. All right. Back to the destructions. Michael Dunn, it is drifting. So he was wondering if it was drifting or staying at zero, and it was drifting to minus 0.02. So remove the pan from the tray. Hit cancel here. Remove the pan from the tray. Press 0 on the button, or 0 on the screen. Press the calibrate button on the screen. It'll flash zeros, and then it'll hit 50. Place one of the weights on there.
I'll wait till it says stable.
Yep. So then you hit the calibrate button again, and then it'll flash and it'll hit 100. So that once the device is stabilized, it'll say stable on the screen. Press the calibrate button again. And when you touch the button, it makes an audible chirp. I don't know if you can hear about that. So it says the device is now calibrated. Place the pan back on the tray.
So Idaho Rogers, no, you can use the keypad on the Intellidropper or your phone. It's not all done from your phone.
Now you don't have to have your phone. That's a toy for us people who are like to play around. All right. So it has a powder calibration feature. Did you use that?
That's the one I'm talking about. It'll learn from your powder you put in. So let's say you put in ball powder or flake or whatever. It will throw that, and it has a certain program in it to learn. It's better just to show it, Mike, because it'll run, stop, and what it's doing is learning at that speed what powder is being thrown onto the pan. It learns at that speed where you're at, and it eventually gets to where it's throwing smoother, quicker, more accurate.
So if you I move the camera up and show you a little bit, you can kind of see the coloration there on the hopper from the static electricity grabbing some of the dust as I was pouring the powder in. So all right. But the powder doesn't stink or anything, so in case anybody was wondering.
How's it taste?
Oh, it's marvelous. It is so tasty. So now I can hit powder calibrate.
Mike, the lady wants to know what's the MSRP on that, if you don't mind sharing.
I was looking that up, and it looks like from Frankfurt Arsenal, it's $239.99. Cabela's has them on sale for $215 right now.
I see. Thank you.
You can, if you keep an eye out, you can get them for less than $200.
Mm-hmm.
So you heard it. It went slow, and then it really sped up. It'll do this a couple times.
And you can see
So some powder throws, they only really have that one speed. This Intellidropper has multi speeds, which is nice. So when you're throwing large loads, it will just automatically go into that high speed it just did, and it'll throw right up just about to where it needs to within a couple of grains, and then it slows down and it gets right up in there. And I found this to be really quite accurate.
And you can watch the phone versus the actual display screen, and there isn't any lag in that display. They're both popping at the same time. So
So you heard it beep. It just finished doing its calibration. So now it's learned all it needs to know on that powder, and now you can, Mike, you should be able to throw that back in and type in 42 grains or whatever, and hit go, and it'll really throw that powder out there.
Natchez has the Intellidropper on for $200, $199.
So now I should be able to hit. Do you hit load and then type it in?
Let me go throw the powder off of my pan. I got some in there, but
Aha. So as you're typing it, it goes into this box here where it says target. And then you hit load. And it doesn't do anything. But you can see that the target loads there now. Where'd I put the instructions? So this is kind of truly an unboxing because I didn't read anything about this or all anything like that. So it says press the go button. I don't see a go button. Oh, never mind. That's the go button. So type in your desired target weight and press the go button. There we go. So there you go, Idaho Rogers, 42.3 grain charge.
yeah, Mike. So if you pull your phone up and you see in the bottom right, it says Dell/can.
Yeah.
Just push that to clear off whatever load you just put in there.
Yep.
And then you just type in whatever charge you want and then hit load.
All right. So what I need right now, where did looking for that spreadsheet Jim sent me. If I can find it. So, John W. said I'll have to look when I find out later. Idaho Roger said that was faster than the Matchmaster, which is the fancy one.
Which spreadsheet you talking about, Mike?
The one for calculating your like your load, your
Ladder loads?
Yeah.
Okay. Hang on, I'll get it.
Well, I've got it, so it's just a matter of figuring out where the hell it went.
Idaho
There it is.
Rogers, do you have the RCBS Matchmaster?
Found it, Jim.
Good.
Where'd my Hornady book go? So, press and hold the 0 key. For what? Paul Loud. I guess I missed something in the chat. Anyway. So what I'm doing is I'm putting in my charges. Oh yeah, that's right. Didn't get the one that we were playing with, Jim, so it doesn't have the correct data. So,
I'll send you a link here in a minute.
no, I've got the. I found it.
Okay.
I just don't have the one that I had filled out already. So now I gotta go through and redo that.
The Google Drive should show you the most recent spreadsheet that you worked on.
No, because I made a couple copies for sending out to other people and stuff. So, and I'm not gonna take the time to find it. So, but I do have to go to Hodgdon's website to get the load data because Hornady isn't nice enough to put 3031 in their 160 grain data.
You want me to do it while you're
Nope, I got it. So my min is 26.8. I'll share the screen so you guys can see this again. Oops, not what I wanted to do. Wrong button. There we go. All right, so my minimum load is 26.8. My maximum load is 28.5. I definitely don't want to do 25 steps. Now, when we did 20 steps last time, remember how it did a double load? So I'm only going to do 18 this time. And to make sure I didn't get any. So now I've got it going up by 1/10 of a grain every single time. So Idaho Roger said he's got a charge master, not a match master. John's had loading no. So bottom line, is it worth $200 and how long will it last? I've read that they can be sketchy and break, and you are on your own as far as warranty or customer service. Don't know if that's true or not. I know Hodgdon's that way with theirs. That's why I have one out there that's or not Hodgdon, but Hornaday is that way with theirs. That's why I have one sitting out on the shelf collecting dust in the garage because it stopped working. So, but what I want to do here, so my first charge is going to be 26.8. I didn't zero it first. So it's still kind of floating a little bit, but that may be me also touching the desk. So now we'll see. So, and it gets 26.8. So then obviously I'd throw the charge, but I'm not doing it at this point in time. I'm just dumping this back in. So it looks like, I mean, just like everything, people have had issues with them. But it looks like for the most part, people are getting taken care of. Now I have it set on auto, so it's going to automatically throw the next charge as soon as I put the powder tray back and it zeroed out.
Yeah, and that auto feature is really nice. There's times though, like I like it enough. I want to get a second one. So it's really nice to have two. It doesn't matter what brand or whatever, but it is kind of nice to have two of them. So when you're throwing a charge for one, you can pick that up, throw your charge. By the time you put your pan back, your other dispenser is already dispensed its load, and you can go pretty dang quick that way. I find that even doing 50 to 100 rounds with this one's pretty quick. I find that I'm still kind of sitting around waiting for it to throw the powder charge.
Yeah.
But it honestly is one of the quicker ones I've used.
But we've also clearly stated many times in this podcast, you have absolutely no patience. So the fact that you have two and you're doing it like that does not surprise me one bit. Now, my question for you is, what cartridge are you loading when you're doing that?
Like I did a 3030.
Okay.
That's the most recent one I've done and used it with. But
okay,
I did two. I have my blocks are 50. I was doing I think 200 at a time, and
yeah,
I like to get, especially if you have someone helping you. Like we did some for a buddy, and I was teaching him and showing him some stuff. So one of us was throwing the charges, the other was seating the projectiles into the case, and it gets to a point where the guy seating is just twiddling his fingers waiting for you to throw your charge. Or when you're by yourself, it's nice to be able to throw a charge, put your pan back while that's loading or dispensing. You can take said cartridge and seat the projectile, and hopefully by the time you're ready, pick up the new dispensed powder, put it in a new case, and go that way. But you'll get to the point where you catch up and you are waiting around. So like I said, this dispenser is one of the quicker ones that I've found. It honestly is. But you still are gonna be able to outrun this type of dispensers.
yeah.
Unless you do two. You'll see a lot of people run two, and that's the reason, so they're not waiting around.
But if you're doing like what Michael Dunn says, he dumps a charge, then finishes that round, and by the time the next charge is ready, he's ready for the next round.
Well, that's
what he's-
that's exactly what I was just saying that I do.
yeah, but
you're gonna
you have
get-
like other people helping you. So
no. I said especially if you have someone helping you. But that what he just said, I dump one charge, finish that round, and by the time it's ready for the next one. But if you're reloading by yourself, more than likely you're gonna catch up and be sitting around waiting for that to dispense. If that makes sense.
yeah. Idaho Rogers, I have not compared it to another scale yet. I will do that.
I say the one that I have was I had the Lyman Gen 6 and I compared the two before I got rid of the Lyman Gen 6. This one seemed to be quite a bit more accurate because I had way more drift on that Lyman. The Lyman was nice, but I did have to keep in mind mine, for whatever reason, was 1/10 of a grain off.
Your
So
Lyman
I
was?
always had the Lyman was. So I always just had to remember whatever my desired charge was. I just had to enter the correct input and calculate that 1/10 in, and then it was accurate. But it was really nice too. Like I said, it was the best one for cleaning. But this one was more accurate, and the Bluetooth features, the two things I kind of kept it around for.
So I just took the charge that was 26.8 and threw it on the 505 that I've got sitting here, and it looks a little low.
So, Mike, I'm glad you just said that. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and throw another load. If you have it still Bluetooth to your phone, throw a load, and then just after it's done, drop a couple extra kernels in there so you overthrow. And then look at your phone once it's done that.
The one thing I've noticed is it's rather cantankerous when I'm trying to get the phone to actually throw the load.
Yeah.
So much quicker to just... Well, actually, it looks like it's a little cantankerous either way.
And as long as you have it Bluetooth, you don't necessarily have to do it off your phone. But I just want you to see once it does do an overthrow, an overcharge.
If I can get it to throw. So how I just got it to do that way is I hit trickle, and then as soon as it started throwing powder, I hit load, and then it threw it. So I don't know. As far as that goes, that's kind of an annoying thing. So that's 26.8. So on the phone, excuse me.
On the phone, you can see it's overcharged. It should say, I can't tell, but it should say overcharge on there, and then the banner where the numbers are is bright red.
Yep.
Indicating to him that there is a problem. It's nice. It sticks out if you're just going and you're kind of getting a rhythm and you might not be paying the most attention to things. That bright banner shows him that, hey, there's a problem and you might want to look at it. And the scale itself should have beeped, letting him know that there was an issue.
Travis, I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Comes out of the gallery from Miss Kitty. Does the dispenser log the charges thrown into a file that you can export? Does it give feedback into your phone? So how if you drop 25 charges, does it record that?
if it's not going to save it, but if you're looking at your phone, it'll just mimic what's on the scale itself. And if Mike looks at his scale right now and his phone, it'll show him the number of charges he has thrown.
Ah,
But I
okay.
don't believe, at least I haven't played around with that part of it, and I'm almost positive that it doesn't save how many has been thrown. It just saves the data of what you have entered into it.
For this reloading session only.
Well, like I'm saying, Mike went through and showed us at the beginning how he picked powder, projectiles, cartridge. He'll put in the charge that he's doing, and he'll save that.
Right.
Like right now, he's throwing whatever that 26 grains or whatever. He'll open up his app and he'll save all that info, and then he'll save that data. And later tomorrow or whenever, he doesn't have to re-enter any of that data.
Gotcha.
He just goes through his list and he'll find like 30 whatever grains, and he'll just click that, send it to scale, and he's right back in the game of loading. But no, it does not say yesterday Mike did 200 cases at 26 point something grains.
That answers my question. Thank you very much, Travis. That was a great answer.
Yeah, Mike done it. He said it does count the loads that it throws. Like I just said, it counts them as you're doing them, but you won't be able to go back and look at a list and see how many you did.
Now, your database you can export of your cartridges.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You go into that list. Like, let's just say, like, I have mine's sitting over there. Mine's warmed up. Mine. For those Mike done, you asked if Mike's was drifting, and his was a little bit. Before we started, I turned mine on probably 15 minutes before the show started. It's been sitting over there. It hasn't drifted whatsoever. So mine right now, I'm looking at it. I'm Bluetooth. I'm completely zeroed out. Nothing's drifted. Nothing like that. So I'm gonna be able to go to my database. Say I got some powder in it. I'm looking at my 30-30 win. I am gonna go to summary. That shows me my 30-30 win. The bullet was the Hornady FTX. The powder, my cartridge overall length, my firearm. I mean, there's all my data right there. So this was what I've saved. This is my favorite load for this, what I'm doing. So now I say, and you can have multiples. I could have 5, 6 of these exactly the same, just different loads. So like I actually edited that when I didn't mean to. So this shows that my load, and I just messed it up. I have to fix that later, but I edited that and I didn't mean to. But so you can see this, like I said, I did this on accident, but it shows my load is 2.26 grains. On accident, I did that right there. But like I said, I could make 10 of these exactly the same, change my load, look through it, pick the one I want, and I just push the button, send it to scale. Right now it's over there dispensing right now.
By the way, your buddy Idaho Rogers has a great comment. And the comment is, all that's pretty cool, but in my experience, a notebook and pencil never crashes. I've said that all along, that when we do record our data, we should have something tangible, something hard copy. And yes, I'm the worst one for not practicing what I preach. I have most of my reloading data for the last 15 years in a spreadsheet.
Well, like this right here is a perfect example. This is one thing you and I 100% agree on, Jim. we've gone through a whole episode or multiple where I've expressed to you guys how I feel about entering all that kind of info into paperbacks also. So I have 5, 6 binders over there. I manually write everything down also. Just like like I said, here's an example. I messed up. I edited my load. So if I only had this and this was all I had, I just screwed up my favorite load for the 3030 because I accidentally edited it. And I'd have to either go back and pull some bullets or figure out what I did, but that doesn't make any difference. Now I can just go over to my hardbound books over there, re-edit this app, put in the correct info, and go ahead and go back to loading what I actually want. So I rely on the reloading manuals, and then I have my binders over there. So every time I do a reloading session, I manually write down what I did, how many I did, my charge, my overall length. I put every aspect in there. I make notes, whatever I need to. And I have all that data hardbound for later. I don't have anything only on any kind of electric device just because of that. But it is nice to be able to have stuff like this because it is a lot handier to not have to, if you don't need to. I always pull out my stuff and just double check because, like I just did there, I accidentally edited that. And if I maybe just got that number off just a little bit and then I start loading, that might not be what I actually wanted. So I always check against myself. But being able to have this is pretty handy to just pull up this app, look through my list of favorites, click it, send it over to the Frankfurt Arsenal Intellidropper, and be off and running.
Very good. What's your favorite color, Idaho Rogers? He's joking about apparently by popular belief that Marines use crayons unless they eat them. Just curious if he likes red or blue.
It's not what color, it's just what tastes the best for him. Okay, so who just asked? Vanessa Kitty just asked if this app saves all your measurements. So let's just pull up another one here. Like I've got 30-06. Same thing. I'm able to go in here, and it like Mike showed us, it saves your cartridge overall length. You can save group size for that load, the velocity. So I mean, it saves quite a bit of stuff off of the app. I mean, it's quite handy, but it doesn't beat a pen and paper. Oh, and you know what? So here's something to keep. This is easy to screw up, Mike. So I just showed you guys that I edited this and it was 2.6. I hit units. So I changed it from grains to grams.
Nice.
So that's something to keep an eye on. But let me.
Wow.
So what I would recommend doing, Travis, is as soon as you get your load set, export it.
Well, I do. Yeah, I was wondering how I edited it because I didn't really click on anything to edit it. All I did was I changed the unit measurement on the app.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to my 3030, look at it now, and now it's 34.9.
That's your load, 34.9.
That's what I got here.
No, I
Hodgins
mean, I'm asking.
Levolution.
I'm asking you.
My load is Hodgins Levolution, 34.9 grains.
Paul Low or GGW Reloading wants to know, since we're talking crayons, anybody ever flux with them when casting?
Yes, yes, I have.
Yeah, actually, when my kids, all kids snap their crayons in half. That's what kids do. So instead of throwing them out, I keep them all, and then when I go and flux, that's one of the things I use. It's real crazy because all the Marines in the neighborhood always show up at my doorstep.
The aroma of wax in the air, hot wax in the air. I work with a Marine, and former Marine, and 11 years in the Corps, and we always are joking around about the crayons. He always says he likes green because it matches his camo.
You mean it matches his blood?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so Mike, I haven't played around with this part of it, but when you're, like I was just showing you my favorite load or whatever, you can export, you can import, and you can also copy. So you should be able to like copy that. I wonder if I could copy my load, email that to you or something. I'd have to play with that, but send you some kind of a link or whatever of my
Yeah.
load, and you should be able to take that load, put it in the app, and then send
Yeah,
it right over.
Yeah, I can import it in. So yep.
Here's a tidbit from John W. He says they make decent crayons make decent 15-minute candles.
Yes, they do.
I never thought about that.
Yep. Light it up, and they burn.
I had no idea. I knew they burned, but I mean, I had no idea they'd make it. You could convert it into an emergency candle.
So, Mike, when you export it, it looks like it just exports it to my own phone and saves it on my phone.
Right.
And it
Then you
has
got
a
to
different
email
file. Yeah.
Then you got to email it to the person.
Michael Dunn has a question about how about saving it onto an SD card. The problem is with that, Michael, it's volatile, just like we were talking about your SD card and your RAM in your computer, or your space on your hard drive or whatever it may be. It's always volatile. It's no good without electricity. At least if you have a hard copy, pencil and paper, printed copy like Jorgen suggests, whatever, you have that. But if you have it all locked up and filed away in your computer and you don't have power, you need to reload, well, you're kind of between a rock and a hard place. 3x5 index cards work fine. Spiral bound binder, 3-ring binder, whatever you want. But hard copy is always going to be a little more durable, shall we say?
I use a power conditioner on my scales.
Ed or Avengem from Australia wants to know: does the data on the app save on a Frankfurt account, or it just the only thing it'll do is it'll export it to a spreadsheet? You can choose either CSV, Excel, or you can choose Google Sheets. So, but that's literally only your databases where you've entered your cartridges and all of that. So. Other than that, the app's kind of lacking that it actually won't they could do so much more with this app. where they could actually track all of your loads and all your charges as you throw for each session. Paul, they want to know more about the power conditioners, and I don't know enough about them to speak about it.
I use a UPS, which is a backup power supply for a computer. It conditions the line, it prevents brownouts, and they're pretty. They're not really expensive,
Mhm.
but when you're sitting there looking at a $500 scale, it's
Right.
pretty cheap insurance.
Yeah,
Power.
brown. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I mean, power spikes, brownouts, just
Paul, I was just gonna say my wife always gets mad at me after a good brownout. I have to do my laundry.
you know, um, yeah, I can understand that. Hey, look at today was 41 years for me, so I'm recovering.
Well, happy anniversary. I won't be here next week because next week's 25. So taking the wife out to dinner.
So after 25 marriage to you, all she gets is a dinner, Mike?
Oh no, there's more than that. So anyway, but yeah, I would say that they definitely need to work on the capabilities of the app because there's so much more it could do that it's not doing. I mean, the data's all being there, so I don't see why it couldn't save it onto export it to a different spreadsheet and stuff, like how many charges you threw, and that type of thing. So, but maybe, it's only been out for what, a year?
Yeah, just a little over, I think.
Thanks, guys. And yeah, I've ordered a couple of barrels, just so you know.
Thank you both, or thank you all for the congratulations for me too. So, and no, I'm not telling you what if she gets pulled away or not. You putzes. So, it's time will tell on how it works compared to other ones. Travis said he compared his to the Lyman. So, we'll see as far as that goes. Because I've got the Lyman too. As soon as I find the power cord, I can test them out at the same time.
So
We'll
don't
see
get
how it
me
goes.
wrong, that Lyman was nice. Just the one that I had was just a little bit off. And
Well, that's because you're a little bit off.
Well, we had to go our separate ways.
Yep.
But it was a good one. It was the best by far as cleaning. Mike will have to let us know how it goes with cleaning this one out because it is kind of a pain in the butt. I personally would like to get to try out a couple different ones, and I'm torn if I want to get rid of this one or keep it and get another one of these, or get rid of this one and go two of the new RCBS ones that was just came out the other day. They have a new one called the RCBS Supreme, I believe.
Save
And
your money.
It has the same. It has Bluetooth. We'd have to see about that app. Maybe that app has more of the features we just talked about. It might have how many charges you've thrown and all that kind of stuff. And I bet
something, guys? We had a guy on here some time ago, about 6 months, 8 months ago. He put out the app reloading all day.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's because I haven't done anything with it either. I'm just as guilty as everyone else, but that may be the app to take and record all this data.
Well, that does exactly that, but which would be really nice. What Mike's saying is if we were able to directly take that info from the scale and whatever, which maybe that guy be able to do something like that for us at some time.
I simply take my info and log it into my spreadsheet. But then, like Jorgen said, I can print it, which I've been known to do from time to time. Only thing is, when you change something, you don't want to have to print every sheet all over again.
But Jim, where do you source all of those stone pads that you chisel all that into? And have you converted over from hieroglyphs over to words, or does it save time to just do pictures?
I don't understand what you're talking about, Travis. You're speaking Greek. I don't speak Greek or Latin or Russian
Travis,
or
Travis?
dumbass.
Travis, you can go online and get the granite blocks from Amazon.
Again, from shipped right to my door.
Right to your door. Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, the ballistic blocks.
No, the granite blocks. A granite block for.
We're teasing Jim at how old he is, that he still keeps his records on stone tablets.
Yeah. So you go right to Amazon. They will send you a
stone tablet.
You want it 2-inch thick, 12 by 18 granite block. And it's level. It's perfectly level too. So he's got no problem making his chips.
I'm going to guess if Jim has stopped using those, the only reason is because his wife would use them as a weapon against him.
She couldn't lift them.
Oh, she could.
Oh, yes, she could.
We've all seen her put a whooping on Jim before.
So Andy says, Andy79Z28 said, I have no use for the app. I do not want my phone sitting next to my scale. The Bluetooth can affect the scale.
They have gotten better as far as that goes. The older scales, yes, but the new ones don't seem to have the problems that the old ones ran into. Again, the load cells are getting better, so you're not seeing as much interference. And
so I got to ask, Michael Dunn just asked, says, Travis, do you turn it off each time? So, Michael, do you leave yours on all the time? Because if I'm not using it, I turn it off, because it could be, quite a while before I get back to using it. But the way you asked, I'm just wanting to know do you guys leave yours on? Even if you're doing like a reloading session for a day or two, do you leave it on the whole time, or do you turn it off and then turn it back on 30 minutes or so before you're ready to reload?
I leave my scales on all the time.
Huh. What about you guys? Mike, Jim?
I usually turn mine
Nick?
off.
I don't use electronic powder scales or dispensers. Everything's just manually hand powder dispenser currently.
I don't use an electronics powder dispenser. I use my homemade trickler and my RCBS 1010 made by O House. I use my beaming scale.
I don't own one.
You don't own one what?
Power powder trickler.
I thought somebody sent you a Lyman's version 6.
I did too. I made that mistake. I thought.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
No.
All right then.
Yeah, I even sent Travis proof that I was like, no, bro, I moved that month. There were no funds in the budget for that.
So I think she was gonna get it from me, and then she said, "Don't want it anymore." give it to somebody else. And I
That
think
is
that's
not what I
happened.
said.
So yeah,
But from what little Mike
mine
has
turn
used
off.
his. Okay, but you just pulled yours out of the box. You just got it all set up. You really didn't get it set up when you're all by yourself, not on camera. You're gonna go back through. You're gonna get it set up how you want. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
enter a bunch more stuff. You're gonna get to learn more about this scale. But my opinion is I do like it. I think it's worth $200. If it was $400, I probably wouldn't feel like it was worth it. But for $200, I really think it's a good value. I've said it before. I think Frankfurt Arsenal is coming out with some decent stuff these days. I would recommend it at that price point. What little you've messed around with it, Mike? What's your opinions on it? Would you recommend this to somebody at that price point?
Yeah, I'd
Would
say it's
you
worth it.
send them off to somebody else, to another company powder dispenser, or do you think this one?
I mean, just initial setup and use, it's a pretty good one. So, I can't say that I've ever used any of the Charge Masters or Charge Master lights. I've used the original Hornaday, which is sitting out collecting dust because it's stopped working. The scale still works; it just won't dispense powder. So,
And Hornady I did see they came out with a new one. I haven't done anything with that one.
mm-hmm.
I have used the original RCBS dispenser, the one that was the kind of the two units set side by side. That one was a good, accurate one. It was slow, big. I've had the Lyman. I've had this Intellidropper. I had the original RCBS, and I feel like there's one more. But out of all of them, for the price, I do believe this Intellidropper is worth getting. It's not great. It's not the best, but I would recommend it for the price, because you only have there's like little brackets, right? You got probably the Hornady, the Lyman, the Frankfurt. They're in this price point, and then you have to go out of that price point and get into some of these other higher end ones, and it just goes up from there until you end up where Paul's at, getting these real nice fancy ones. And
Buy once, cry once.
Yep.
I do believe in that too, but I'm say the RCBS. Someone's just mentioned it. The RCBS Matchmaster. I just priced it out the other day. It was $900.
Buy an FX 120 with version 4 of the auto trickler. Same money.
Yeah, slow.
It's faster. Much faster.
I've seen it came out. I haven't watched any videos on it or anything. I gotta watch some videos, but
Anywhere between 10 for 40 grain charge, anywhere between 10 and 15 seconds.
that's not
If
bad.
you can load that fast, you know.
Well, my son and I had a little competition here a few years ago. He had an RCBS Charge Master, and I had my Uniflow, my 1010, and we both had a loading block, 50 rounds each. We wanted to see who would be able to take and load up 50 rounds, charge 50 rounds first.
Mm-hmm.
I won. And I checked once out of every 5 rounds. Double checked. It was only a minute or two slow for 50 rounds, but the point is, it's all what you want to spend. If you want to, my 1010 has never let me down.
To the best of your knowledge.
Well, I still got all 10 fingers.
To the best of your knowledge.
Your knowledge too. There's 10.
Same here, okay? And I'm just saying, to the best of your knowledge, that it's never let you down as far as being as accurate as it can be, as a balance. It's not a scale, it's a balance,
True.
okay?
Although we all call it a scale out just out of habit.
Right, we call it a scale out of habit, but it is a balance. You're balancing one weight against another, and so it's supposed to be graduated. And I kind of showed that, you can be off 3, 4, 5 kernels of powder without much of a change in that. And then it's subject to cleanliness and everything else as far as so the balance works properly.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has its place. I mean, some of the old balances that Ohaus made for RCBS were expensive. $200-$300 at the time, which were, when you could buy a 1010 for $50 or $60.
I think I paid 70 for my 1010.
Right. But I'm saying, what was it, the 201 or whatever that RCBS had that was made by Ohaus? It was a big scale or balance. You had a dial on it where you dialed the grains on there up to 10. You had a beam on for your. I think it went up to 1,000 grains, and a tenth indicator and everything else. So it was an expensive scale.
Yeah.
But $200 back then, and nowadays we're in today's dollars, that would probably be somewhere in the $600, $700 range.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, talking about price though, you also got to think about what kind of a shooter you are, and a scale like this one that Mike and I have, for majority of guys, these scales are accurate enough. For a guy like Paul, he needs something a little bit more accurate, right? So you got to ask yourself, is it worth getting the more expensive scale for what I'm doing, or can I get by with a cheaper one that does everything that I need now? But then you also got to look at it, do kind of planning for the future. If I buy this cheaper scale, am I going to outgrow it? So there's a couple of things you want to kind of look at and weigh when you're purchasing something like this. But for the most part, say these scales are accurate enough. I mean, with a tenth of a grain, right? Is that gonna make or break a guy? Is the average guy? I've said this many times, and that's not. Forgive me for saying average shooter or average guy all the time, but I'm just saying, for the guy shooting said rifle, is he the limiting factor to his accuracy now, this scale, because you can't get it more accurate? Probably not, because you can't shoot that good. So there's people who can, and that's when they move up and they get something that they can break down that info.
So you're going to limit somebody's shooting ability, because of at the scale, right?
No, that's what I'm asking. Is that? I'm just saying, is a guy going to look at that scale and say, if I had a better scale, my groups would shrink so much more because this scale is holding me back because I can't get that.
If he can get to be able to group better, if the equipment is what's holding your back, or is it you get the equipment and then you develop yourself to be a better shooter?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In other words, you can't go and say that it's the equipment that's holding me back. Now it's up to me to go out and shoot and learn to shoot better, become more proficient in my shooting. Someone bought an expensive STI pistol, and you know, is that what limits you in your in your matches, Travis?
Yeah.
That your pistol, does that pistol limit you in your matches?
No, that pistol can outshoot me.
Okay, so you're trying to get up to speed with that pistol, right?
Correct. I know. I see where you're going.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to sit there and say, I don't limit me by my equipment, limit me by my ability. And if I'm a let's say I'm a 1 minute of angle shooter, and then I'm loading for 1 minute of angle, now I'm 2 minutes of angle, right? So that's where I'm trying to say is take the variables out of my loading, take the variables out of my gun, leave it up to me, the shooter, to be a better shooter, to make myself a better shooter.
Yeah, I like John's hand loading. I agree with you, Paul. But this is also a good point. John's hand loading says you can still make crappy hand loads with expensive equipment. And if you don't shoot well, it won't matter how good the equipment is. It goes both ways.
So we're just going to sit down and throw it all out and say, I might as well buy a factory gun that got a shitty barrel in it, and because I can't shoot well, right?
No, because then you're going to shoot even worse.
Right. Okay. So I sit down and say, myself, I sit there and say, hey, nope, that barrel isn't doing it. I crank the barrel off, I put a new one on. So am I gonna, I spent $300, $400 on the barrel plus another $300 to have it chambered. Now I'm gonna sit down and say, that $700 barrel in that gun, I'm gonna put crappy hand load in it. No.
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying, for a lot of guys, these scales that we're talking about now tonight, they're plenty good for most guys.
John's hand loading says if you have the best equipment and rifle, Paul's right. You can learn to shoot lights out. Yep. People do it all the time. People are, get the, if you're going to compete in a match, or if you're you want to target shoot, you want to go shoot prairie dogs, difficult targets, difficult conditions, start with the best stuff you can afford, and go from there, and sometimes you cry once and you're better off. It's just it. I go back to when I had my Lyman charge scale and charge thing. That thing would drift all over the place. I mean, I'd get a 0.2 of a grain up, 0.2 of a grain down, It'd say it was, if I programmed it at 25, it'd run 25.2, and then, but it read 25, pull the pan off, put it back down, and it was 25.2. Okay, that one went, that was not a good, powder dispenser. And this was before Gen 6 and 5. So they had some issues. RCBS, I ran that one, but that one was so slow, it was unreal. Before that, Pact had a dispenser, and I used that, but I use it just to get close, and then actually weighed out the charge on a balance. So before electronic scales got good.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now, like I said, no, I agree with you, but I also agree that, let's just say you have an RCBS rock chucker, or you can get that new 419 zero press.
mm-hmm.
The one is $1,200. Rock chucker, let's just say 250 ish. The guy, if you can afford it, yeah, go ahead and get that real expensive, nice equipment. Get the best you can afford. Get the best you can, for what you need it for. Is the guy who's, you kind of work up to that real fancy one. You're going to start off with something cheaper, work your way up. Your skills should grow with you with your equipment. That's kind of along the lines you're talking about right now, kind of growing with your equipment.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
You're not a guy starting off shouldn't probably buy the expensive scales that you're getting, all this fancy stuff, unless he can afford it.
Yeah, if you can afford it, no big deal. Go ahead.
Right. But if I'm throwing charges, like I feel like I'm a decent enough shot, I could probably justify getting some of the fancy scales that you have, yes. But let's say this Frankfurt for me now, if I had your fancy powder dispenser charger, trickler setup sitting next to me, and I had the Frankfurt Arsenal, and I'm doing some loads here with the Frankfurt, and then your FX, I got some loads over here. I take both out with me to the range. My skill level, I'm not going to be able to say, oh my gosh, these ones from the FX, I am shooting lights out with these ones, and these ones here are just junk with the Frankfurt Arsenal, like Intellidropper. I can't even push. I can't even shoot these anymore because of how much better I am shooting with this this FX. I might get to that point eventually, but I believe my whole point was for the guy looking to get into something, this Frankfurt Arsenal Intellidropper is an excellent choice to get, not even just get started, but for a guy, let's just say like Nick, he doesn't have one. So I'm going to recommend spending the money on one of these versus these real high-end ones. If he gets the Frankfurt Arsenal and he gets to using it and likes it, then he'll be kind of like where I'm at. Like, maybe I would like to move into something a little more accurate and a little, cost a little bit more money. But I'm just saying I'm not feeling like I'm being held back by owning one of these cheaper ones that's not as accurate as something like you've got.
Okay.
Trust me, if I could get one that you have, I'd love to. I'd love it.
Well, I know you could do it.
I could.
Here's the thing. You sit down, and I know you don't run a chronograph, okay? I do.
I do.
Okay, you do. And I sit down, and I when I'm running my loads and developing, I'm looking for my single digit SDs, okay, and ESs. I really like, single digit ESs really.
Well, who doesn't?
I get very, very close, and I do accomplish single digit ESs now. Okay, I mean in the 8s and 9s for an ES, and I've had 2s for for my standard deviations. So, do you think I could get that with the Frankfurt?
No, but you would be dropping down. It doesn't make any
Okay.
sense once you've reached the level that you're at. I think we're saying the exact same thing, but we're just for some reason
We're
butting
kind of
heads
arguing.
on.
We're kind of arguing the point. I'm trying to convince you to be better. Okay, and you're sitting there saying I'm happy where I'm at now.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a good product.
I for
And
what
I
it
think,
is. Yes,
and I think that's
agree.
like we got 6 people on the panel here. One of these guys, that scale is perfect. What you have. For the rest of us, we're not going to notice a difference until we grow. But like I say, I think we're saying the same thing. But when we grow to that point, we'll just naturally progress into something like you have. You've evolved past where we're at. We just haven't met you yet.
Trying to up
Yeah.
the ante.
I mean, we're still doing a lot of reloading, where Paul is really truly hand loading. So that's kind of the thing. So, Paul Loud says price doesn't always mean it's better. He's had some unimpressive equipment. Jorgen just made a nice comment too. The big aspect of this we're missing is bang for buck. Gold plated F120X or FX120i isn't going to beat out a 505 when loading 55 grains in a worn out barrel. There's other upgrades that will make a bigger difference.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm going with stuff. Like Paul, he's got everything dialed in. He's got.
Right.
I mean, we've all gone through when Paul first came on. We were blown away with how he does stuff, and like I say, we're not to that level yet. So for him to go down and start loading off a Frankfurt Arsenal
would be ludicrous.
Intellidropper makes no sense. But
Right.
in the same aspect, for me to jump into something high end like that makes no sense either because I'm not there yet. I'll grow into it. But I say, I think that's a natural progression.
For somebody who's using this as their scale, this is the first gen Hornady GS 1500. It's iffy. It loves to drift.
Paul, stop trying to get me to spend my money. It doesn't take very much to get me to spend my money on something. So I'm not gonna fall for it this time.
I told you that eventually you're going to get the 6XC. You're going to get a 120, and we'll get you there.
I say, Paul, I'm sticking up for the average guy right now, but in reality, you're right because more than likely that's where I'll end up here not too long. Because even if I'm not there, like I said, I'm not. I still would like that stuff, but I'm sticking up for the average guy here, saying. And also, we're talking. Today's episode was about the Frankfurt Arsenal Intellidropper.
Right.
So, like I say,
you guys are the experts at that. You guys have been playing with that. You especially, you've had that over a year, and I've seen some of your videos on that. You've put a couple of videos up on it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I did. I couldn't find them, but yeah.
But as we go through it, I watch every video you put up. I mean, I'm sitting there going, I want to listen and see what everybody else is doing, but I also want to raise the bar for everybody here. That's what I'm trying to do. If someone really wants to be more accurate and to learn, well, that's where I'm here.
Yep.
Okay, Shrenda.
So John's hand loading kind of sums it all up, and what we're all kind of looking at from the same. Is in the end, make yourself happy with what you're doing. If you're happy with your results, good. And that's Travis's point, and that's Paul's point. But Paul's point is also there are opportunities to improve if you want to and have the funds. Paul and I had a long conversation before I actually bought this about price difference and everything. And basically what it came down to for me. Good night, Jim.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.
Basically what it came down to for me was bang for the buck, essentially. I am not in a place where I would benefit from the FX120i right now. My shooting isn't there. My ability to go shooting isn't there. My ability to have time to load isn't there. To where I would actually benefit, and a lot of the other things. For single stage, I'm using a Lee O-Press still. So it's just a basic press. I'm using just basic dies. I'm not checking concentricity for everything. I'm not truly hand loading. I'm reloading still. And so at this point in time in my journey, this was a good choice. And it's not that I don't want to, it's not that I don't want to, it's that I don't have the ability to right now. With everything going on, obviously, as most of the audio listeners know, I had jack squat for podcast turnouts because of not having time to even sit down and edit them. So, it's a case of like when I need to get ready for deer season, which is in 7 weeks. So basically what I'm going to be doing is looking at throwing my 18 charges, seating my bullets, and going to the range and seeing what happens. And then go from there. But I mean, it's not something that I can do this weekend. I know that for a fact. It's not something I'll probably be able to do next weekend. I'm probably looking at middle of October before I have a legitimate shot to go do this. So, it's where I'm at with my travels in reloading right now on what I'm able to do. So
No, I understand that. I mean, people
Yep.
are different. I'm just trying to say that if you're going to go into the
Right.
position of getting down to hand loading,
yes,
then that's where
then you need to get the good stuff.
right.
Yeah, and if Paul, next week our topic is precision hand loading, I'll probably be arguing right there with you.
So the one thing I want to mention about the Matchmaster, which is RCBS's new fancy one, it says they take powder dispensing and weighing to the next level, utilizing patent-pending dual-tube dispensing technologies. Most charges can be thrown in under 20 seconds to 1/10 of a grain accuracy. And then this is kind of a confusing thing.
Standard mode.
It says pharmaceutical-grade scale components enable 4/100ths of a grain accuracy for the ultimate precision.
Okay, so right there, they just hold on one second though. So you said, so this will go 0.1, 1/10. That's the standard mode.
Which is every scale.
Correct. That's what we're talking about. The Frankfurt Arsenal. That'd be the standard. And then the next line you just read, that's where it's a completely different setup on that scale where it will go to 0.04 grains. So 4/100th of a grain. That's very appealing. But then again, it's a lot more money.
Yeah.
And I go for the same amount of money or close to it.
Right.
The FX20i is the FX20i with the auto trickler is a much better option, in my personal opinion, because the Matchmaster is $900. So I really, honestly, looking at the price between the two, I can't justify taking this, which supposedly is good, but I mean, nobody really, you really haven't seen a lot on it versus the FX 120i, which you've seen a lot of stuff on and is good. And the thing is it's 0.4 of a grain or 0.04 of a grain accuracy in match mode. What's the FX 120i? 200. So it's half that.
Right.
And it's going to be less money. And you can, it's got some fancy stuff for match mode, but,
it's nowhere near as fast as the auto trickler. It's clunky. I mean, that's basically how I look at it. It is just clunky versus the new version 4 that they came out with.
Yeah.
And I still like my 3, and people are willing to buy my 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I can upgrade to the 4 when it comes out in March. So I'm looking at probably doing that.
Yeah.
Paul, let me know how much you want for that.
Okay. But I'm just sitting there trying to get an idea of hand loading for everybody here, and we have a lot of people that are in here that are hand loaders.
Yeah.
And not to limit them to something, but to raise the bar for them and say, look here's this, I try to give them, here's a scale. Here's a neck turning tools. Here's a primer pocket tools.
Remy.
Go right through the equipment list to help people move forward.
We appreciate it, Paul.
And I appreciate everybody that's on here, because I don't do a lot of milsurp or anything like that. And I get Nick over here that, runs that and tells me about his cast bullets in his Schneider. And then I got Travis that over here that, is running matches and everything else and loading big time on a Dillon. I mean, I used to do that a long time ago, but I've gotten out of it. I'm not where I used to be there. I can't keep up with it anymore.
Right.
I got Mike. Mike is was shotguns. That's where we started with. We talked about.
Yep.
And then Jim is over there with he's not here, and he's still trying to lube everything up with that white gooey stuff. And I got Sharenda over here that when she decides to show up, because she's been out hunting, I appreciate it, because I love the hunt. I mean, I love the bird hunt. I deer hunt, ducks, everything. So this is a group that, what do you say?
Eclectic.
There we go.
Eclectic. Yep. Eclectic.
Yes.
Eclectic.
And we have listeners that are the same way.
Yep. We all bring something different to the table for the listeners. So, and that's the awesome thing is, and everybody's got a little expertise, kind of. So, mine's, reloading on a budget for the most part. As I was talking to somebody the other day, I said, I got a lot of stuff, but if I ever stop doing this podcast, I'm not going to have a lot of stuff, because a lot of the stuff belongs to the podcast. The 550, the 650, most of the dies and stuff all belong to the podcast. So, but I mean, I have the blessing of being able to play with that stuff. And I'll tell you what, if I wasn't doing this podcast, I wouldn't have all that. I'd still be using my Elite Classic and my Loadmaster behind me because that's all I could afford at the time. You know, I probably could have saved up for 550 or something like that, but I definitely wouldn't, definitely wouldn't be having all the fancy things that I have. I also probably wouldn't be loading as many cartridges as I do. So,
Well, budget is what guns we buy, right, Travis?
speaking of, I found a new one that I want.
Uh-oh.
We got a 1906 in. A Winchester 1906. Because in my 22 collections, the only thing I don't have is a pump. Or slide action, however you want to say it. So 1906 is the pump action gallery gun. So we got one in, and it's in my price range, so I may get that.
I was about to ask how much they want for that. That's because Winchester 1906s bring some money. Oh.
Yep.
Man.
It's a shooter. It's not a collector.
That's all
So.
Dad and I are looking for is one. We need one as well for our collection.
Yep. I think we actually might have a couple in the library. I'll take a look and see. But I think the other ones are twice that. So. Yeah, revolvers. Yeah, Paul Loud says I've been looking for a revolver. Didn't realize they had apparently turned into solid gold. The only revolvers you're going to find right now is if you have somebody like Cabela's that's a Kimber dealer, the KS6 or K6S, whatever the heck they are. But they're actually a really nice revolver, and they've been really well designed for not only normal use but concealed carry. Grant Cunningham, who has wrote a few books on concealed carrying with revolvers, actually went with he got together with the Kimber engineering team when they were designing their revolver, and so it's actually a really nice one. But yeah, I mean, as far as Smith and Wessons and Rugers and nothing much out there. I've seen a few 686 short barrels come in. We've had a few SP101s. We've had a couple of GP100s, but nothing with a long barrel. Everything's been shorter barrels, compacts. As far as LCRs and BG38s, which are Smith and Wesson's carry revolver, I haven't seen squat. So. But
yeah, auto loaders are easier to make.
Yep,
that's just the way it is. I mean,
Well, and they've been selling. So it's like somebody came in looking for an XDM last night. I'm like, no, because Springfield Armory hasn't been making XDMs. They haven't been making the XD series. They're making Hellcats. And they're selling Hellcats hand over fist. So, but anyway, let's wrap this puppy up. So, bottom line, initial impressions of the Frankfurt Arsenal Intellidropper. I like it. It's definitely needs better instructions, especially regards to the app. Definitely needs better instructions. So. But overall, not bad. I mean, I just struggled a lot more if I didn't have Travis here to help. I'll tell you that, because of the fact that Travis has the experience using it, so he's had some of the issues and worked out. So definitely, big deal there. Overall, though, for what I do, pretty good deal, especially for what I paid for it. But that's needless to say, I paid less than retail for it. So, but that's courtesy of my Cabela's discount. So that's one of the nice things about working at Cabela's is they have a program through Expert Voice where we get discounts on certain things. So yeah, and that's how I got this. But just so everybody knows, in my garage is another one of these in a box that Drew Bowers put up the money for to be a giveaway. We haven't figured out how we're going to do that yet. And I really want to try and get the audio caught back up. and get that going back up. I think what I'm going to wind up doing is I'm just going to wind up editing the current episodes and then try and get the backlog up as I can. So, because I've gotten way behind. If anybody wants to help audit or edit, let me know. I'll be more than happy to take volunteers and teach how to do. So, but I mean, that's kind of the summary on the everything going on here. Thanks to everybody that joins us. Make sure you hit in the show notes will be a new discount code for Primary Arms. We actually have a discount code for Primary Arms now, so I'll put that in the show notes. Also post it on Facebook, MeWe, and Discord. So want a huge shout out to the Patreons. Thank you for making everything possible. Michael Hartneck, yes, I am going to try and play with it this week and get an update next week. Or not next week, but 2 weeks. So on that note, keep your brass shiny.
It's not a matter of if, but when.
Jump on the mill soap short bus.
Grandpa told me, don't listen to your mother. Violence does solve problems.
Teach a lady how to reload. She just might enjoy it.
And for Mr. It's late night for him. Squeeze! On a serious note, though, if you're struggling and you need somebody to talk to, 1-800-273-8255. It's a suicide hotline. Give them a call. Even if you're not to the point where you're seriously thinking about it, if the idea has popped in your head and you're just struggling, give them a call. Sometimes you just need that extra person to talk to that's impartial. So hang in there, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.